What is going on, everybody? Welcome to episode number 2 of the Cryptdoor podcast. I hope you're all doing well. And before we jump into today's topic, I want to get some things off my mind here. What I'm thinking about this podcast. Now, I know my main channel, I do a lot of cemetery exploring, talking a little bit about history, about some of the people that are buried in these cemeteries. But I want this podcast to not just deal with that. I would like just to have, other topics on this podcast, maybe something that's going on in the world, not just cemetery or funeral industry, related stuff. I would like to start having guests on here. I know a lot of people, they're, at first are gung-ho about being on the podcast. And then when they figure out or I tell them that there is a video version of this and they're going to be on camera, a lot of people seem to shy away. So I would like to get some fellow YouTube creators on here, just have conversations or talk about something, and if it's not even a guest, if I'm just by myself doing a solo episode, talking about something going on in the world. Like I said, this podcast, even though it's called the Cryptdoor podcast, it could be anything I want it to be. We could talk about anything we want to talk about on here. Today's episode is dealing with trolls, and not just any trolls, but fellow creators who eventually turn into trolls. I know it sounds crazy, but first, let's get into a little bit of news coming out of Pennsylvania. Man, this is heartbreaking here. This little bit of news that I found an article. It's not the whole article, but I'm going to give you guys kind of a rundown of, what's going on here. It's appalling. It's disgusting. It's heartbreaking. I've really got no words here, but let me read you this little scandal I found in the news here. Now, a funeral home director has been charged after allegedly throwing out the bodies of thousands of pets and giving pet owners the ashes of other animals, collectively charging them over $650,000 in the process, prosecutors said. Pennsylvania Attorney General Dave Sunday announced that Jacob Vereb, owner of Vereb Funeral Home and Eternity Pet Memorial in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, has been charged with improper disposal of thousands of dogs and cats for which owners paid for cremations, burials, return of ashes, and other services, stealing over $650,000 from them between 2021 and 2024, according to a statement from the Pennsylvania Attorney General's office. Could you imagine that? You're entrusting your pet with a company when they pass that you think is going to do the right thing, and they don't, and it's improper disposal of the remains. You're getting the ashes of other animals back. I could smell a fat lawsuit here, and I'm sure it's coming. So we're going to keep our eye on that little subject, at the coming weeks, and I'll keep you updated on that. And maybe I'll do a episode where I'm more in depth reading the article. But yeah, that's so sad. But now, let's get into the creators who are also trolls. That's right. People who are in the same grind as you, making videos, chasing views, building a brand, but for some reason, they've decided you are their personal punching bag or enemy. Now, let's talk about it. Let's start off with a little myth busting here. There's this idea that YouTube creators are all a part of a supportive, tight-knit community. And sure, that exists in pockets. But once you hit a certain level of growth or even just start getting noticed in a niche, it's not all collaboration and let's lift each other up energy. Sometimes it's more like Survivor meets Mean Girls. Now, I want to be clear, not every critique is trolling. Some creators give honest feedback, and that's valuable. We need that. But what I'm talking about today is when a fellow creator crosses that line. They're in your comments, throwing shade. And yeah, I've experienced it myself. It started innocently enough. A few side eyes and DMs, a passive-aggressive comment on my video. The crazy part? We used to be cool. Here's the thing. YouTube isn't just a creative outlet. It's also a competition, whether we want to admit it or not. That algorithm breeds a scarcity mindset. They think if they're winning, I must be losing. If they're getting views, that means less attention for me. Let me tell you, that mindset, it's poison, and it turns creators who once shared tips and encouragement into silent rivals or loud trolls. And sometimes they don't even realize they're trolling. They think they're being real or holding you accountable. But it's the tone, the timing, the context. That's what makes it trolling. Like, if you have an issue with how I edited my video or anything else, why are you posting about it on your community tab instead of just messaging me privately? But sure, tell your audience how I stole your idea because I also reviewed a cemetery in Los Angeles. Never mind that this is YouTube and we're all doing variations of the same 10 video ideas, right? So what drives this behavior? Let's break it down. I think it's a mix of insecurity. They see your growth as a threat. Jealousy. Maybe you got a sponsor they wanted or you're getting views on a video they think is low effort. Projection. They're unhappy with their own content, so they take it out on you. Clout chasing? Let's be honest here. Starting drama on YouTube or anywhere else gets clicks, and all the creators know that. And in some sad cases, it's all of the above. But here's what I've learned, though. People who are really secure in what they're doing, they don't troll. They're too busy creating, evolving, and staying in their own lane. Let me tell you what I don't do anymore. I don't engage publicly, at least not in the heat of the moment. I've made that mistake before, clapping back in comments. It felt good for about 10 minutes, but then I realized I'm acting just like that other knucklehead. What I do now is I screenshot and always document. You never know when you might need a receipt. Block and move on, especially if the energy is clearly toxic. Vent privately, not publicly. I have trusted creator friends I can message and be like, yo, dude, am I tripping or was that person being shady? Refocus on my own content because at the end of the day, that's what matters most. Advice to fellow creators. If you're dealing with this right now, if someone in your niche is throwing shade or is trying to start drama, here's my advice. Don't stoop to their level. Their goal is to rattle you. Don't give them the satisfaction. Remember, your audience sees everything. Even if you never say a word, they'll notice the energy shift, so keep it classy. Stay consistent with your content. Let your work speak for itself. Build a real community. People who know you and your vibe will ride with you no matter what. Trolls be damned. Protect your mental health. Mute, block, log off, whatever you need to do. That helps you out. YouTube is tough enough without having to watch your back from people who should be your peers and friends. At the end of the day, this is a wild, weird space we're in. Being a creator is rewarding, but it also makes you a target sometimes. From trolls with no profile pictures, and sometimes from people who should know better. But don't let it dim your shine. Seriously. You're building something real. Something that matters. Let the trolls choke on their own bitterness. I've had a creator tell people I buy subs and views when my channel performs decent or I get a lot of views on something. It's funny. The person pointing the damn finger is pretty knowledgeable on how all that nonsense of buying subs and views works. And their channel has had quite a growth spurt in the last year or two. Again. Long story short, I got on their shit list over some other creator nonsense, and they've gone as far as to go into people's direct messages on Instagram, Facebook, etc., and threaten them and say that if they continue to support my channel, they're going to delete or ban them from theirs. Ooh, wow. Like it's a big honor to be a sub on their channel. Here's a newsflash for you, Sporto. It's an honor for you to have them subscribe to your channel. Seems like you got it a little backwards there. And when this person talks about me to anybody who will listen, Most of the subscribers come to me with screenshots of what they're saying about me in the private DMs. Or so again, screenshot and save for a possible receipt in the future if need be. I've even got screenshots of them harassing viewers in the DMs about being on my channel a lot back when we were still friends. Good friend, eh? Bottom line is, don't anybody dim your shine, but stock up on some ammo for a possible battle. Anyway, I appreciate you for listening to this episode. If it resonated with you, send it to a creator friend who might need to hear it. And hey, if you've got a story about dealing with creator and creator drama, hit me up. I might even read a few on a future episode. But guys, yeah, that's it in a nutshell. You know, just when you're dealing with this drama as a creator, I mean, it's not just from the viewers who were trolls, but your fellow creators can easily turn into trolls as well. And it's ridiculous. You know, it's like, I get it. You know, YouTube, I guess, in some aspects is a competition, but it gets to a point, and I've experienced this in other YouTube communities as well. A few years back, I used to do videos on YouTube dealing with, you know, I think I've mentioned this before, Uber and Lyft and, you know, Grubhub, DoorDash, you know, little side money ventures that I had in the past. And I had a channel where I would talk about my experiences in those aspects, or, you know, news with Uber, Lyft, whatever was in the news. I would share news or my experience as a Lyft or Uber driver. And the community, when I got into that community back in 2016 or 17, it was a very warm, open, you know, community. Everybody looked out for each other. Everybody supported each other. Everybody lifted each other up. And then in time, when more creators came on in that niche, you know, it started to get, I guess, a little bit more competition. You know, it started to get, you know, things, you know, people would be friends for a minute and then they wouldn't be friends. And then they'd say nasty things in the comments to each other because somebody said something to somebody, or they would do a whole video dedicated to this person right here, name them publicly and the whole bit. And it just got toxic. It got really toxic to have to listen, you know, to all that. So, you know, it's also in, I'm trying to gather my words here. It's also in this cemetery community as well. It never used to be that way in this community. It used to be also a very, you know, tight-knit, small community. Everybody was warm to each other and supportive of each other. And I can see this community, cemetery exploring, kind of slipping into that range now, where people are friends. Now they're not friends anymore. They're talking crap about people, you know, trying to tear their, you know, some people like were trying to tear me down to make them look better, you know, to build up their channel. And if that's how people want to build their channels, that's their business. But they don't get, I don't think they're going to get a whole lot of respect. And if that's what it, you know, if that's what it takes, is stepping on people on the way up, then count me out. I don't have to be the biggest channel on YouTube. I'm not trying to be the biggest channel on YouTube. I'm just happy being in this community, being in the conversation, sharing, you know, cemeteries that I'm finding with people that are elsewhere, that are not in California, because I've got a ton of you guys that are not even in the United States telling me that when I'm showing mausoleums or I'm showing certain things that, hey, you know, over here in my country, they don't have this stuff. So this is actually very nice to see. Or it's something new I've learned, or it's something, you know, it's just so cool. So I don't have to step on people to further myself. I don't have to start drama with this guy over here to build my channel. Anybody who does that is just lacking, you know, any moral fiber at all. You know, that you're naming somebody out publicly and they are this, and, you know, and then, you know, the same idiot that I'm talking about has admitted to other people, and I've seen the screenshot and I've heard the audio recording, about how, oh, I trashed this guy's channel over here. And it's like, wow, bro. If your subscribers could hear you right now, you wouldn't have a channel left. So that's why. That's why when I'm presented with something, I document, I screenshot. Because if they ever want to get squirrely with me, I got something for them. Other than that, I love being a YouTube creator, other than the occasional drama, I find it rewarding. I'm not trying to get rich. I'm not trying to get famous. It's something I do in my spare time, and I enjoy it, And yes, there's a little bit of, financial compensation, but it's, until you're hitting like record number of subscribers, there isn't really a whole lot of money in it. It's just enough to keep you going, and if you get to 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 and beyond, I'm sure it could be a full-time, income. But, right now I've got a full-time job, so I'm cool with it being a free time project that I do on the side. And you guys seem to appreciate it, and I appreciate you guys. But don't let people, like I said, don't let them, dim your shine. Don't let them dim your light. And it's not even just, you don't even have to be a creator. Like I said, if you're, if it's just anything in your everyday life, if you've got people who are just, crapping all over you for some reason, just, move on, cut them off. If they're a family member, cut them off. If they're an acquaintance, cut them off. This advice applies to people in everyday life as well, that I've given. So, yeah, that's my advice to my fellow creators who might be dealing with creator on creator drama. Now, like that rideshare community I was in, that started happening between a lot of different creators. And after a while, the feuds overshadowed the content and information that we were trying to get out to our subscribers. The subscribers don't come on for drama. They come on for information or entertainment or whatever it is that you're providing. And when the creator and creator drama in that rideshare community niche started to become more prevalent and happening all the time, I checked out of that community because it became toxic. I checked out because it was a lot. The cemetery community, whatever creator on creator drama is happening or has happened, it's mild, very mild compared to the rideshare community that I was in, where people were just tearing each other's throats out. And what it's about is, it's crazy. People, when their channels get to a certain level, they want to protect their place on the mountain or on the mountaintop. And there's a lot of people, not everybody, there's a lot of good people on YouTube in our niche and other niches. A lot of good people. But there are some individuals that, yeah, they're, that when they feel that someone else is doing better than them or has more views on a video than their videos, they freak out. They just completely lose their shit, lose their mind, and start just trying to trash people. That's sad. Very, very sad. It's very, very unfortunate. Shame we have to live like that. But like I said, the cemetery community is very mild compared to what I've experienced in the past and others. So that's it. That's the deal. If you're a creator and you're getting a ration of shit from viewers and or other creators, just remember one important thing. The block button is always free, baby. So block and move on. And I also, like I said, I think I said this before, I want to get other people on the show. I want to have conversations. I want, to bring other creators on. I would love to have Dan from Dead Good Walks. I'm working on getting my first guest. I've talked to Tyler Scott about coming on the podcast. So, a lot of this, yeah, it will go back to cemeteries or cemetery exploring or their funeral business. But I also, at times, want to do other subjects, just current events, maybe something going on in the world. it is what it is. I want to talk about other stuff, but I also want to have creators in my niche on here as well. I want to have Dan from Dead Good Walks. I want to have Tyler Scott, Spitfire Kev. I've got other creators I know would be on the podcast as well. So guys, get at me in the email, cryptdoor@gmail.com. I'll have my email in the description box of this video, along with other social media or whatever I'm doing, links to my audio version of this on Spotify, and all that good stuff. So, so thank you all guys for watching and listening, because there's audio and video. I decided to go both ways with this podcast, a YouTube version and a audio version on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever, you could find all your favorite podcasts. And if the platform that you use primarily does not have the Cryptdoor podcast, ask for it, request it. I do believe there's a spot on most platforms where you can do that. And also, if you guys could be so kind, is to leave a comment, a thumbs up, a review, depending on the platform that you're listening or watching this on. Leave a review, a thumbs up, a comment, it's letting them know that I'm doing a halfway decent job at this thing. I know I got a long way to go. I'm not a master podcaster here, but I'm getting, I'm trying to get on and get some, episodes, under my belt. So thank you guys so much. You have been so kind, so gracious, so awesome. I appreciate you all. And I'll see you on the next episode of the Cryptdoor podcast. Talk to you later.